All right, here I am. G'day, hi. As you pick up from the accent, I am an Austin local. So this is me. I'm going to be talking about a topic which is I'm really passionate about. I'm really excited talking about this particular topic. It's multi-platform search and getting people to think differently about SEO. The genesis of me sort of going down this rabbit hole of different thoughts and different platforms is I'm a dad, I've got 4 kids, Gen Z and Alphas, and the way they use their phones and search for things is just very different to how this old fart does, and very different to how lots of people in this room do. So getting an understanding of how and why and the types of content they consume, and then what's actually showing up for them, that really fascinated me, and I started to bring those thoughts and questions back to my team. So, a bit about me very quickly. Texas-based Aussie. I've been here in the US, in Austin, for almost 4 years. 20 plus years in marketing. It's actually about 25, but we'll just say 20 plus. Done some stuff, got a little game. I've got a SEO podcast too called SEO Success Stories that if you're into SEO, I definitely recommend looking for in all your favourite players. Anyway, that's me. I'm co-founder of an agency called Impressive as well, but today we're talking about search engines, right? We know what a search engine is. The thing is, when people think search engines for a long period of time, and when people think SEO or paid search, they think about this big guy, right? For a long time. Search, SEO is Google. If we take a step back and we think about demand capture, right? Pull marketing, meet them where they're searching. Obviously, demand capture, there's CROs and email marketers and the like going, hey, it happens outside of Google, sure. But for the purpose of what I'm talking about today, demand capture really has been, okay, well, people are searching, a large part of demand capture, people are searching, how can I come up in that search, whether by paid or organic means? The thing is, as I mentioned with, the experience I'm seeing with my daughters and my sons, I've got 4 kids, demand is now scattered across multiple platforms, depending on the intent, depending on, the type of content they like, etc. Each of these platforms has its own search function, search engine. It's got its own algorithm, its own rules. So your 5-year, 10-year, 15-year, 20-plus year, SEO veteran potentially doesn't have the tools to get content ranked on these. We'll get to that. I truly believe in 5 years' time we will look back at this period, let's say 2005 to 2024 as a simpler time for SEOs, right? And a lot of SEOs are scared of this new space and they'll double down. SEO's not dead, Google rules, and Google still rules, right? It's still 90+% of all traditional search engine queries, okay? So I'm not denying that, but it's changing. Rather than 99% of an SEO's time spent on one platform, one algorithm, trying to manipulate one website, or if they're in an agency, a number of websites for that algorithm, SEO will become multi-platform, multi-disciplinary, and not just SEO, paid search as well. A survey, it's about a year ago now, showed that 24% of US adults prefer using social media as a starting point for their searches. And some of those social search functions aren't great. If anyone's used the Instagram search function or just looked in, that scary feed there where you go to do that search, it's going to take some evolution. But it is where 1/4 of US adults are starting their searches. It's even more pronounced when you get younger. You've got 40% of Gen Z and 30% of millennials. Millennials don't really count as younger anymore, sorry. But, preferring social media to a traditional search engine. And let's be honest, the SEOs in this room, a lot of us are to blame because the SERP sucks a lot. You do a search and, what comes up? Who's got the best SEO team? or Reddit, or Quora, or whatever Google decides is going to be there. Getting the actual answer to the query you want has gotten tougher. People are going to other platforms. My Gen Z, she uses TikTok to search for how. We could put it on TikTok. I don't know if anyone would watch it though. So I was just asking my in-house, what did we say you are? Gen Z.
Yeah.
Gen Z. She's a cusp alpha, but she's Gen Z. If she would look something up, it was like, how old do you have to be to ride a jet ski? So where would you look that up, Lai?
On Safari, because on TikTok you look up how to like do something.
So TikTok, the search for TikTok would be how do you do it, but just knowing, if you want to know a fact, it's just straight to Google?
Yeah.
Thanks. Cool, so that's my 13-year-old asking Google how old she has to be, and then TikTok how to do it. Of course, she has to ask Dad and Mum if she can do it. That's a big no. But she gets the facts elsewhere, other than Dad, depending on the nature, the intent of that query. So if we think about Facebook and Instagram, Meta, you know, a huge investment in AI. At South by Southwest last month, Scott Galloway suggested that Meta, with its overwhelming advantage with behavioural data, is going to win the AI wars. Who knows? They could use some help with that search function, but, you know, they've definitely got enough signals in there to develop that really quickly. Big part of that $3.25 billion investment last year was for AI-driven search and really getting people to stay in the platform. Cool, okay, so we've determined that we've got Google, we've got TikTok, we've got Meta, Facebook and Instagram. Is that all we need to think about for SEO moving forward? No. August last year, LLMs, ChatGPT surpassed Bing in terms of daily users. Surpassed it and then show of hands. Well, I just did this with Wojtek and some others. Who in this room, when you're doing a query on your phone, you want to figure something out, how many people are going to ChatGPT first, that app? Whew. That's a big number. Yep. Cool. So, again, you're going there. Your customers, let's be honest though, we are probably a bit more curious and we are the early adopters in this space, but the early adopters are the ones that lead, where everyone else goes to. A very clever marketer out of the UK. Does anyone know this guy? I've been trying to get him on my podcast. Dale Davies. Does anyone know him? He's elusive, okay. Anyway, he's got this concept called search is everywhere. It's basically what I'm talking about as well, okay. Get Google as the only search engine out of your head and think about your customer, think about where they are in that moment, think about the intent of what they're doing. And think like this, where there is a search bar, there is demand. We established earlier, search, pull marketing, demand capture. So where there's demand, there's an opportunity to get visible for that demand. That's what I'm talking about. I'd love people to just think outside the box with SEO and start thinking about where the content is, where the demand is. How do I get my content there? According to Exploding Topics, as of about now, the top search engines are, or they are inside, these platforms. Now, Google's still number one. I'm not here saying Google's dead, Google's dying. That, you know, the consistent rumours of its death, they're constantly exaggerated. It's going to be around. I'm not saying stop. I'm saying look at these other platforms. The ones highlighted in white are the ones that are your traditional search engines. The others, we're in e-com here. Amazon. Then you've got Facebook, Instagram, ChatGPT, TikTok. The search ads on TikTok. They're, heading up that direction towards what Google has had a dominance of for a long time. So prior to October last year, these LLMs they were more search adjacent. Most people in this room are using it like a search engine, but they were, they're an answer engine. They're a conversational search platform. But then, Search GPT came out, so, they're really heading down that path, specifically ChatGPT. And that is really around that conversational search, which is rather than just a quick query, 10 answers, and I'll make my way through. It's the back and forth. It's the way we use ChatGPT. It's a conversation. Ask a question, refine, prompt engineering. It's less transactional, less call and response, more, I think I know what I'm looking for, but can you help me get there? Building content that meets those needs is the future of how you can get in front of your right customers. Okay, I always like to have just some quick hit tactics. 5 quick hit tactics to get your site or your client sites mentioned by LLMs. Very, very cautionary note. This is a moving target. This is a new space. This is probably going to get outdated in 2 or 3 months. First, obvious one. If we're talking specifically about ChatGPT, they use the Bing crawlers. So make sure your site's submitted to Webmaster Tools so that you can start monitoring performance for Bing, because that's what ChatGPT is using for crawling. Brand authority. It's the biggest driver so far. It seems obvious, big brands get quoted more often. So brand awareness, digital PR, link building, these things are going to continue to be important. They can't read JavaScript just yet, so think about that with your sites. Think about the content which is delivered in JavaScript. They're frankly not as advanced as Google's crawlers, so some simple on-page, really obvious things are helping sites get ranked more often. And lastly, the early signs, and it is early, the early signs that they like rich media offerings. So if you've got, beyond just helpful copy, UGC and, images, video, anything more dynamic on the page, it's got a better chance of getting served. Cool, so my bold prediction is that from 2025 onwards, SEOs are going to be, we're going to unlock the dungeon, we're going to let them upstairs and play with the marketing team. Because it's been a long time of them just sitting there, and I'm talking as a person who's been and worked with SEOs for a number of years, with the headphones on, stuck in my code or in my spreadsheet. They need to be thinking more about where our customers are and about how can we get in front of them. So I believe the world's leading SEO teams will be working with their brand teams to understand that a lot more. Understand the customer journey a lot more. They'll be finding the overlap of platforms and search functionality, and then they'll be prioritising efforts outside of SEO. I'm not saying they're going to put large chunks, I'm talking about experiments, a hypothesis that we think, based on the data we're seeing in analytics or Adobe or wherever it is, that there's a really potentially small pool of highly qualified traffic on this space, on this platform. Let's carve out a little experiment with some content around certain queries, certain types of questions for that, and test it and see if it's then scalable. And then I think the top 1% of SEOs, they're already thinking like this. They're going to keep working on Google because it's over 90% of market share of traditional search engines. But these teams will start, they're already doing it. They're looking at LLMs and how do they get featured. They're looking at learning or recruiting YouTube SEOs, TikTok SEOs, Meta, etc., Amazon. They're going to have some consistencies, but there's going to be a lot of different. Social search is more about your content creators. They're the ones who know. I think my daughter would probably know more about how to have a particular bit of creative on TikTok get found organically than I would. I'm not going to ask my 40-year-old SEO, unless he's, really big in that space too. And we are a room full of agencies, so what for everyone in here? I think for SEO agencies, there's potential for expanded scope, for expanded products, providing, you actually do feel this is valid and you think you can build a team that can do this. For paid media agencies, these new platforms, TikTok's already there. There's going to be more advertising options here. And then for the rest of us in here, it's, you know, just new channels to open up conversations. This is an interesting conversation. I've given this presentation all over the US and talked to some really senior people, and they say the same thing. Their daughters, their sons, their nephews, their nieces are searching differently, but their SEO team is not doing their job differently. So I think this is just a really interesting space to be in, a really exciting time to be in SEO, and I appreciate everyone's time today. Thank you.